Van life. Hi, my name is John. I do jujitsu and I live in a van. It's kind of messy. So I'm watching this guy. I think his name is Shane Hummus. He's talking about normal people doing YouTube, etc., talking about their problems, talking about real life. Well, my life is as real as it gets. So there's a lot of things I could talk about, but one of the things that he mentioned was giving advice to your younger self. Well, I'm going to take a crack at that today. I see my younger selves out there. I see my younger self in my little cousins. So my cousins have kids, and I very often see myself in them. And because you'd be amazed at how much of ourselves is inherited. And because, they came from the same gene pool mix, we're so similar in so many ways. So at some point, some family members asked me to talk to one of the little cousins and give him advice. And, this little cousin was thinking about, he didn't want to go to college, and he wanted to pick up a trade. He just wanted to make things with his hands. And I guess his family wanted me to talk to him and tell him the benefits and advocate why he should go to college. I hate to say this, I never spoke to him. Because, among other reasons, I couldn't, in clear consciousness, I couldn't toe the line. And this isn't the first time family members have asked me to talk to younger family members and give them what I call system think. In fact, if I really go into it, it's petty. I call it petty bougie system think. Now there's some truth to it. There is some wisdom in petty bougie system think. Go to college, major in engineering or become a doctor, become a lawyer, get a good job, buy a house. There's some, get married. I'm not going to say that that's all bad. I'm not going to say that, that you shouldn't do that. But what I will say is that you shouldn't do that reflexively just because your parents and society and friends and family expect you to. And so I will say that clearly. And I will say that it is not necessarily the path to happiness and fulfillment. And so there are many miserable people running around their entire lives because they've spent their entire lives doing what people expected of them. And what they may or may not figure out is that much of the expectations that are set for us are not for our better good. They are not for our greater success. They're not for our greater happiness. They are systems in place that maintain a status quo that benefits the few at the expense of the many. So, go into debt, go to college, take out debt, get a job for corporate America while you pay off your debt, go into more debt with a mortgage and with a car loan, and get married. And now your finances and your debt are tied up with another person who you don't really know because they're still growing and changing. So now you guys are strapped together, have children. Now you brought some other people into the mix. You're deepening into dependency on the system, which is what it wants. It wants you to work, and it wants you to pay interest, work and to go into debt and pay interest. And it doesn't care about your happiness. It doesn't care about your success. It doesn't care about your self-actualization. None of that matters. So, now from the well-meaning parents, from their perspective, the other thing you have to face, they're advocating this because they're afraid not afraid you'll live in a van. They're afraid you'll live in a van, and but they're afraid you'll be stuck in a dead-end job. A lot of black parents, they're afraid of, for their sons. They're afraid you'll go to prison. They're afraid, and they're not wrong. These are all landmines and valid things to be concerned of. But honestly, I think the other side is just as scary. And so what I would advise to any young person, if I could go back to myself when I was younger, the things that I'm doing now, I wish I did when I was 16. What I'm doing now is I'm focusing on my passions. I'm focusing on the business of me, whatever that is, the business of me, um, which I'm figuring out. So just like you have a startup might get funding from venture capital, and the startup might pivot. The startup might launch. They come up with a plan. They launch one product. They realize, oh, this doesn't do like we expected. We could get a better product to market fit. They pivot. And the venture capitalists, when they invest in these companies, they're not so much investing in the idea, they're investing in the team. They're investing in a team of entrepreneurs, of professionals, of innovators, of dogged, persistent, intelligent people who can take a product to market and pivot and find their sweet spot. That's what they're investing in. So I'm investing in product me, startup me, product me. It's taken me a long time to figure that out. So I would advocate that to young people. The sooner you start, the better. You can start. In hindsight, I realized, oh man, I was on the right track at 13. At 13, I could have invested in product me at 13. So this is totally counter. People tell you, oh, school is so important. School is so important. My parents, my dad, he thought school, grades. Ironic that his schooling, he never took advantage of his schooling. Ironic. But we may or may not talk about that later. But grades. When I look back, my regrets are not, oh, I wish I got better grades. Oh, I wish I did better in school. My regrets are not that, oh, I wish I accommodated the system better. I wish I was more obedient. I don't wish that. I don't wish I was more obedient. I don't wish I was more a better disciple of the system. I wish I played music more. I wish I went to more parties. I wish I dated more girls. I wish I had more friends. I wish I did more sports. I wish I had fun. Because those are things I can't go back. I mean, I can still do a lot of that stuff, but there's things you can do when you're young you can't do. Now, I'm not saying, playing video games, that's a waste. I mean, something not necessarily true. There's a lot of, people that's professional YouTubers, there's things that you can do, you can only do when you're young. Things you can only experience when you're young. And once that window is gone, it's over. So those are the things I would advocate. If you really feel like you want to be a professional athlete, people say, oh, everybody wants to do that. You shouldn't do that. Try it. Do it. Go for it while you're young. Not try it. Go for it while you're young. You want to be a musician? Go for it while you're young. You want to be a YouTuber? You want to be an actor, an actress, a model, whatever it is, you go for it. All this. What about your backup plan? What about your fallback plan? You'll have the rest of your life. You'll have the rest of your life to accommodate the system. You'll have, in any moment, you can jump in line with the system. All right. Now, personally, anybody of my kin and my relation, I would tell you right now, figure out a way to get around, either get around the system, get over, under, or through it, but don't be obedient. Don't think that by just following orders, you're going to be okay. So I could say more on that, but I'm going to close on that for now. So not sure that this is going to actually go up, but if it does, hit the subscribe button, subscribe to this channel, and I'll give you more life advice, even if it is cautionary tales.